with his 78-year-old father, who is, whereas Jack is kind of a sort of liberal comedian, his father's this 78-year-old, Brexiteer, conservative dude, and they go to all these sort of wild locations. And I wasn't expecting a season 2 of this after season 1. I thought like that. Oh, it was a very funny little season of television, but I didn't expect a second one. And suddenly, out of nowhere, here comes season 2, which I did not even know was going to happen. I'm on board, man. I've only seen a couple of episodes of it. I am sort of allowing this to, just the comedy of it is very different to a BoJack Horseman or even a Brooklyn Nine-Nine, in that it's very like, it's kind of similar to, in some ways, to like the American Office. It's very cringy type humor. Like you are watching people in uncomfortable situations deal with things, sometimes in a more poorer way than you would deal with them. So I find those, like, I have to like really parcel them out and not watch too many of them at one time, because it just stops being fun. So that's what's going on in terms of what I'm excited about on the old internet these days. Another positive news: Liverpool Football Club undefeated in the league so far, and they've only lost 2 games in all competitions. Knocked out of the Carabao Cup, which, frankly, I don't care about that at all. And suffering, not the greatest loss in the world to Napoli in the Champions League, but still undefeated in the league, even on points as we're talking right now, with Manchester City and Chelsea at the very tippity top of the table. Which, if you told me at this point, in mid-October, that Liverpool was going to be top of the table, equal on points with Manchester City, I would have taken that in a heartbeat. There was a lot of difficult fixtures over the last few weeks. It was a packed tight in terms of game time, but to see them coming out on top. I think they're technically in third right now on goal difference. But I mean, hey, after 8 games, 20 points, no losses, 2 draws, 6 wins. That's something to celebrate, and I'm really, really pleased with how Liverpool is doing. What I will say is, like, I keep on reading commentary from just random other fans on Twitter and on Reddit and so forth. Like, oh, the magic is gone, the bloom is off the rose. Like, this isn't the Liverpool of the last few years. Like, blah 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 blah. Shut up, like. We are undefeated right now. We're top of the fucking table. I don't care if we're not playing as pretty as we have been in recent seasons. Also, like, there's a certain degree of, like, some players are having to get back to their normal form. Like Mo Salah and Sadio Mane in particular are having a bit of a rough go. It was a World Cup year. It looks like Mo Salah isn't 100% after the injury from Sergio Ramos from last year's Champions League final. Sadio Mane goes through little hot and cold spurts towards the beginning of seasons. Anyhow, this time last season, Mo Salah only had 1 more goal than he has right now. Roberto Firmino, I mean, he is kind of a weird, like, Swiss Army knife of a center forward anyhow. So, like, yes, they're not clicking in the way that we would like them to. They're not clicking in the way that they did last season. But people seem to forget that was after a while, that suddenly, like, we had this attacking strike force of these three forward players who sort of chopped and changed out of different positions and sort of were so fluid on the pitch. We didn't really have that until a little bit later in the season. Now, if we're still struggling to get goals when it comes to like December, and we're still like winning ugly and all, then that's a little bit of a time to say, well, maybe this isn't the same team that we thought that we had. But honestly, like, I think, like, just worrying about, like, this team not firing on all cylinders in at this point in October, especially like the way that our fixture list has kind of looked recently, like this is about as congested as fixture list as you get before Christmas that you could possibly look for before Christmas. We faced Paris Saint-Germain and we faced Napoli. We faced Chelsea. We faced Manchester City. We had a week where we had to play Chelsea twice in both the league and in the Carabao Cup. I guess my point is just like, do not be concerned. Do not go looking for problems that are not yet actually there. And that's really all that I have to say about that. And you know what? I think that's all that I have to say, period, for this week. We're gonna call it a show right here. Oh, I love this new theme song. Thank you so much for listening to the John DuLong Show. So glad that you're here. This show is produced by me with music from Mon Plaisir. You can check them out at loyaltyfreakmusic.com. Also art by Skylar Greencorn, who you can check out at artstation.com/sgreencorn. You can follow me on social media. I'm at Jibberdy, Jiberdy. You can also follow the show on facebook.com/The John DuLong Show. Email in to the show if you'd like at johndulong@gmail.com. I don't listen to your emails at all. I read them, and I read absolutely everything that we get sent, and might make the show if you so choose. You can find the show in all the normal podcast places like Google Play, like iTunes, like Spotify, or by going over to johndulong.com. And if you could, wherever you listen to the show, rate and review, as that helps to get more folks listening. If you want to support the show, you'll eventually be able to go back on over to johndulong.com/Patreon. Sort of sunsetting the Patreon for a few weeks, just until I kind of get my sense of what I want to do with Patreon. But if you want to help support the show, the best way that you can do that is to tell a friend about the show. Get the word out. Of course, make sure that you tune in every single Monday to the John DuLong Show. And we are back every single Monday. So for John DuLong, I'm John DuLong. And remember, if you lop off your right butt cheek, you'll be left behind. Thanks. Doesn't quite have the same button as the theme, the original theme song for the show, but I like it. It's chill. It's got a nice vibe to it. The name of this song is let me just get it here, but I think it's this bass line is good for gambling or something like that. Mon Plaisir makes a lot of music for hypothetical games out there, and they're available. His songs are available, or their songs rather are available in the public domain, so I'm allowed to use them. So I will continue to use his stuff because it's really great. A Good Bass for Gambling is the name of that song, and I enjoy it a great deal. It's going to be back on the John DuLong Show. Hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you soon, I'm sure. Bye!